Hello. So we have a weather application is waiting us to be built. Again, so we will first get started to understand how this application works. And as you can guess, we will just type a name, click the submit button, and that will come up here. Perfect. That's how it works. And the thing is, I mean, the first question is, how can I make this shape? And how can I create, these nice looking cards? You can call them card. So how can I create them in here? I mean, do I need to touch any CSS? As this documentation says, I don't have to touch any CSS, but it's really hard to guess then which CSS classes do I need to use? Because now, yes, that CSS file is included even for these cards, but then I need to first understand those carding because, all right, I will go and fetch data, but then how can I reshape them is like you see here nicely with a nice icon set, like you can see the sun, a bit of overcast. So how can I do that icons as well? It's really challenging, as you said at the beginning. So, and then for this application, we will need to use an open weather application API. So then, which let's open it first. So in the next step, okay. So we will be using this open weather APIs. So we will call the data from here, and then we will show up everything with a different way, with a nice one to be available right in here. So, okay. Right. If you look at the user stories, I think you are familiar with. So user can search city around the world. I think you know the acceptance criteria as well. The app can fetch API and the search city name. So then that's what it works for here. And the user can display weather data of search city in weather card like this. And then, or user can display list of search city weather data card like on GIF. Okay, like this. If new search city is in the weather data list, app can display a warning text to user on a page. Says like, you already know. Okay, so if you put the same name that you displayed earlier, then it will give you an error that you have already that card. So then you shouldn't, I mean, we don't add this. So basically, it's not adding the same data if you have this. That's really a quite different logic working in this area, in this part. So, all right, so then, okay, first of all, again, I just wanted to see the skeleton of this project and how HTML looks like. So I downloaded the application, and I believe this is that one. And I just right-click and inspect. Let's do that. Right-click and inspect to see how this HTML looks like. So I can see there is a one section here, another empty section there, which class name is Ajax section. That what I think is we will place all the cars in this section, and we have footer. I believe there is no involvement of any Ajax stuff there. Like Ajax, do you know what Ajax means?
No.
All right.
I don't know.
Emirhan?
No, I don't.
All right. The Ajax actually is it some kind of let's say like we are going to fetch something from another web page without user notice. So the user will never notice that what happens at the background, but we will go and fetch data from another resource. But they will always see our application. They will never know what our application go and fetch a data or from where. For example, Uber. In Uber, the maps, where do you think Uber is implementing their own maps, or they are just using some API keys from other map APIs? What do you think?
They're using.
What is it?
They are using the Google Maps or
Google Maps,
app,
I believe.
iPhone app.
Or iPhone, by the way, is not iPhone's map. An iPhone is using TomTom, I believe. Have you ever heard TomTom?
No.
I think there are GPS devices earlier Before the smartphones, there were the TomTom devices that you put on your
Oh, it says
dashboard.
Tom. Okay, we just say GPS.
Oh yeah, GPS, TomTom GPS, that navigation stuff, you know, the hardware. But now we have smartphones. Well, the Apple is using TomTom, I believe, and the Google Maps is the one of the largest map that you can access. And then, of course, the Uber or other delivery applications, most probably using the Google's API, and they are paying for them. So Google implemented the feature. There are a lot of developers there. But if I develop some applications like a weather application, I don't have to implement all other stuff. I don't have to send a satellite to the to the space and then check the weather and then bring into to make my application up. So I can search for other applications, whoever done this, and then who is just providing API for it. So Ajax is the name of the fetching some data in the background of the application. So it goes to a web page, get the data into my web page. So that traffic is called Ajax. But I believe, I don't know what that stands for, but I can guess asynchronous JavaScripts. I don't know what X stands for. Executions. Just a guess. Okay, so let's try what Ajax stands for. Okay, that's XML. Perfect. That's a very bad guess, by the way. It is synchronous. Okay, Ajax is synchronous JavaScript and XML. So where is A? A doesn't stand for asynchronous, so it should be asynchronous. Okay, so that's asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Well, at the beginning, when this Ajax comes, very, very early stage of Ajax, it would return XML format to you. But in modern life right now, modern development world, we are requesting JSON object as a JSON. So it now returns we can request a type of request, like the response, but this times the most popular version is the JSON. Okay, so in this application also, we will request not XML result, but the JSON result. All right, so the Ajax is the name of that process. Something happens in the behind, you don't know. You can just see that you type a name of the city, and then you just get that card. That's what you see. But the behind of this application, again, there is a process working, fetch process, as you learned already. So, okay. So basically, what I do understand is my form. So this is my form. This is my input box. This is my submit button is in this section inside the container inside this form. Okay, so that's my form. All right, and this is my input. And input has my, okay, there is no class because I have only one input. Okay, I can go and select this input easily. I have again one button in this application. So again, I can select this button from its type. Okay, so that's my form. And so the logic here should be something like when I enter a text here and then click submit, my fetch function will work, bring the data from Open Weather API here, bring the data from here, and then I will just give some CSS and then craft my page like in this example. So, but the thing is, like Zamira, you said in the beginning, how can I properly put all those response data to my page? That's another question. So the first of all, let's break down all the steps that we will do. So of course, I will need a Visual Studio for it. Here is my Visual Studio. Where's my Visual Studio? Okay. Let me just find my Visual Studio and bring in. Okay, here is my Visual Studio. Okay, all right. So that's my Visual Studio that I downloaded from this GitHub repo. I downloaded all these files to my desktop, and I just open it here. Now I will, the folder name should be 008 weather app, and then now you can see so all the files and the folders here, except the JavaScript one. So weather.js is missing. All right, in my HTML, just quickly look at my head data. So it has my JavaScript should be at the end. Okay, weather.js is in the very bottom of the file. Okay, that's fine. All right, good. So now I can click live share, and then I can share the link with you so you can join me. Okay, in the class chat. In the class chat, here it is. Okay. All right. I'm also trying a new keyboard, so please forgive me if I do any mistake because the layout is quite different. Okay. All right. So that's the link that you can join along with me, and I will go live for it. So right click and then go live. Open live server. So when I open this live server, it will open up in the wrong file. So let me just copy this and bring it all the way up here. Oops. Okay. So that's my actually this HTML file, and it's ready to work on. Okay. So that's my weather API. That's the word working one. So let's check the London. Oops. London and select submit. Okay, so I'll get the London. If I type the London again, then if I submit, oops, I do already have the London here, so I cannot add that to the list. So New Jersey. Okay, nice. Manchester. Beautiful. So now you are phrasing New Jersey. We are fine. Yeah. Okay, nice. All right. Okay, so these are the things that there is interesting that there's no remove button. I definitely go and just look for a remove button because I can't remove them. I wish we could hover over them and there should be some remove button appears up somewhere so then I can remove from the list, right? I wish we could have that feature, or maybe you can implement after we finish this up. Okay.
But when you refresh, will it disappear?
What is it?
When you refresh the page.
Does it? Yeah, it does. I didn't check that. I didn't see. I wish we could store it in a local storage, maybe. Then we can remove it from the local storage. That would be nice, actually. All right. Okay. Now here is our application. If we type in anything, of course, nothing happens because our JavaScript file is not, sorry, actually is empty. All right, so we will fill in this JavaScript. Okay, first of all, again, let's break down all the steps down. First of all, I need to get the data from my form. Okay, so let's say get data from the form. Okay, so that's the first thing I should do. The second thing, I need to fetch data from Open Weather API. So again, so that's the second step, that which is again fetch the data. Let's say fetch the data from Open Weather API. So all we need to fetch it. And last, very simply, is the display the weather data on the page or web page. Okay, so that's the thing. We will get data from the form. Now, question is, how can I get data from the form? Well, so here my JavaScript knowledge comes into play, and then I can describe my DOM elements, my all HTML elements that I can access to, basically, and then get the data from here, the name, whatever I typed in here. So I need that from here to my JavaScript file. Okay, so all right. Again, I think we need to check my HTML file once again to see my form. Sorry, not that one. Okay, this one. All right, here is my.
Why is the center red? Is it like error or just?
I have no idea. It doesn't look like an error for me. If I open the not terminal, but let's just open the terminal here and then go to problems. It seems no problem. By the way, I'm following a coding standard for my work. So that's why you may see there's an autosave. You may see sometimes an error. That's not the way that should be described. So that's because of the coding standard I should follow for my work. So also this computer is my personal, by the way. But again, I sometimes code on here as well.
It says this feature is no longer recommended. That's why it's red. Okay.
Where is it? Where is it?
I just searched it up on Google. Yeah.
Oh,
so it is not
interesting.
recommended. Yeah.
The center is not recommended. Yeah, I wouldn't use the center as well. Yeah. Why? Yeah, I wouldn't use the center here as well. Actually, what does this do is the centering the image here, right? So then, yeah, I would definitely wouldn't use the center there. Yeah.
Yeah, the new
right.
feature is text align center. Yeah.
Yeah, is the CSS? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the very old maybe HTML stuff there. So it's the container, that's the weather app. But if I can make this container is all centered, the form will be all in the center. I don't really mind that. Yeah, let's try that very basically. So that's the container is, okay, I will just skip this and let's focus on the JavaScript, then we can change this later. So, okay, now what we have here is our form. There is our form. And what we have again here is my input and then my button. Well, what I need to do is I need to get these forms, get this input, get this button, and then I believe get this the area, like this area, to put all the data in, because I can see the UL class is the cities, which means I'm going to put all my cards, the city cards, like this. So where are they? Let's say again, London. No, it doesn't work. So, oops, it's not the working version. So let's try this. Okay, so I believe this is the area, the cities should be the area that I put my city card in, I think. I can test it before I write the JavaScript. So basically, because it's a UL, so I can create li first, and then I know there is a class name for it, but just try London to see what does it look like in the app. Okay, so that's just simply text. Okay, so I believe there are some specific classes defined in the CSS, but I will come to that point later. So let's focus on fetching the data. Then we get the name for it. All right, so what we have again to use is the open better API. So we will use these APIs, but again, these are not public APIs. They give you the API for free, but they also limits you in some cases. For example, if you want to use this open weather API, we need to go and register for an API. So let's go to the API link, and right here you can see there are several different ways that you can subscribe to. So what we will do, this is actually available almost every API that you want to use. Some APIs are free to access. There is no limitation. That's why they don't want you to subscribe. So you can just directly get that API link and then fetch data, like images that you can fetch data from any image sources. What else? There are several others, like JSON placeholder website, I believe. There's some other sample websites that you can use their API directly without limitation. But here, because you are going to access very, very valuable data, like Google Map, they actually give you everything not for free, but again, they have their free tier, which we will use this because we can call 60 API in a minute. That's the limitation. And in 1 month, there is a 1 million calls we can do. It's a really generous one, yeah? And then we can use the current weather, minute forecast, hourly forecast, daily forecast, national weather alerts, and also you can use this, almost everything that you can use in the startup, but with a small limitation here. And it's really, again, generous. So if you decided to make a mobile application, or if you are using Samsung or iPhone or another smartphone, that you can see that your mobile phone is providing you a weather. And I believe they are using some weather application, and then they are using the API of their APIs, actually, not their own, but they use some open weather APIs stuff. So then, yeah, what we would do here to get an API key. So again, just show you real quick. So we need to go to API. You can just click subscribe there if you want, and it will open up this page. And in this page, you will just click get API key. So is that clear? Let me show you once again. So we are on the openweathermap.org, or let me share the link directly to the subscribe page. Okay, here it is in the class chat. Okay, there it is. And then we will click on the get API key, and it will ask create a new account for us because they want to track how many times we have used this key, and then so they will limit us. Okay, so let's create a username, enter your email, passwords, and just tick them on. And then what else? So you don't need to get any product news, no corporate news, no system news. So you don't have to give any consent to these 3, but you just check off this 2 is fine. And then check I am not robot and just answer some questions here. And I think we are good to go. Of course, after filling up some username. Let's do it. Zamira, Emirhan, if you haven't done yet. Emirhan, have you done this before?
No.
Okay, let's create an API.
I guess this is where I stopped.
Okay.
Now, yeah, and it did ask me for how and where will you use our API? Do I need just to put the Clarusway? Is that fine?
Yeah. So yeah, right. That's I think missing in the documentation, and I can understand that should be, I think, placed in the documentation to get this data in. All right. So I'm creating my own account. All right. I fill up my data and then just click create account. Okay, so that's my form. And then my password, I check off this stuff. I'm not a robot, so let's create an account. All right, I don't want to remember. Now they're asking for a company. You don't have to put any company name there. Why do you want to use this? So we are using it for basically education stuff. So if there would be a learning stuff there, so there's no, or you can just click other, but I think this is, I think we will use for education. It's just for their survey, basically. Doesn't give you any additional services. Okay. Now I've created my app, and this just took me to this place. Here, I think it's my very first time that I'm doing it because I just want to do with you. So we will click API keys. This is almost similar to any other stuff that provides an API. So this is all the same thing. Again, we sign up. Now it gives us an API key. I can definitely use it. I can delete it. I can give a name to it. I can generate another one. So then nobody can access this one. So I can put it on and off. I can deactivate it. So that's basically my API key. Okay. If you have got yours, did you? So we can continue.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Sandra?
Mhm.
Okay. Nice. Now we can continue. All right. The second thing is the documentation. Because now we are using another service, we need to read their documentation. How can we call that API correctly in my website? So before I build anything, I basically go to the documentation. I think usually they say guide or sometimes learn more. So let's just click on guide and see how can we use those APIs. What I need, again, that's just a guess, is I believe that's the current state. Okay, so that's why actually you can go for the 40 years history. That's really nice. But I think that's the current state. What is the current state of that city? So I think I will go for this. Let's click on that. Okay, now here what it says. This is the API endpoint that you will call. Okay, so that's their, let's say, website address. But we will call this now API endpoint. Okay, there's a specific name for it. Through this endpoint, because it's not a website, if you go and visit this website with this link, I believe it doesn't open up any website for you. So that's not a website. Yeah, it's not a website. It returns you a JSON object again. How do you understand? It's an object. Look, this and this curly brace states that it's an object. And then inside this object, we have some properties, and we have some value, another property, another value. Okay, so that returns us actually a message with an error. Okay, so that's basically a 401 code, which is an error code, and that's the message. For example, if anybody calls data from this address, they will receive an error. That's not the correct one. Okay, so what about this question mark? Well, GET requests and POST requests. How are you familiar with those? GET requests. Are you familiar with these parameters here? Emirhan?
Which one? I can't see it.
This
Oh,
question mark, that ampersand, another ampersand. What do you think what they are?
question mark was like I forgot it, but
No
I
idea.
knew it. Yeah, no idea.
Zamira, do you have any idea from this API?
I would guess it's like if, but not really. No, I forgot. I think we just talked about it like this week or last week. Is it
Right.
something with catching an error or something? If
No,
not,
no.
or something like that.
Don't worry. It looks like a if else, right? But
Yeah.
if you see those question marks and ampersand in the link, a URL, that is what we call this parameter. what is the parameter? Now, guess, for example, here, we need to pass the city name to that link. For example, if I type London here, I need to take this text from here and pass it to this link. So how can I do that? The answer is by using a parameter. Parameters. Okay, so this is my link. This is my API endpoint. After the question mark, my parameters are starting. What are those parameters? This documentation explains that parameters very well. For example, latitude of the location, and then just pass lat equals to the number of the latitude that you want to get data for.
Oh, it's like separator. Okay.
Yes, and it's separator now. The first separator should be question mark always. Then after, it should be ampersand and ampersand. And if you have one more, that's ampersand. So you are passing lat value, loan parameter, and app ID parameter to the backend. You can't change them because that's in the documentation. You should exactly use what they request for. Lat, loan, app ID, mode, units, and lang. Okay, so this this parameters you can pass to your API call. Okay, so that's the endpoint where until this question mark. But again, this doesn't give you anything unless you have some parameters after that. Okay, but another question, I need a city name, not latitude or longitude of any place. I need to pass the city name. Well, I need to just scroll down a little bit, or just type Control Find, Control F, and then you can go and search for, let's say, city. If I have some okay, request by city name. Look, we do have a link for it. So let's just click and then go down. Actually, it's in the same documentation, but a little bit scroll down. Okay, so that's the city. Now, if you want to request a city, so you will just basically pass Q parameter, but after weather. So let's check again. Is my link 2.5 weather? That's correct. That's the endpoint. But after question mark, I should pass Q parameter and then the city name, like London, like wherever you live. So let's just type in here. Again, we need to write a question mark and then Q equals, now again, without curly brace, without curly brace. We don't use this curly brace. That curly brace exists only to show me I need to replace this with my own city name. So here, I think I can just pass London because it's just a single text. I don't need to use double quotation as well. I think if I need to have a separate, two, like San Francisco is 2 words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we have 2 words, I believe we should use quotation marks, but I think that's fine. But it will not work. Why?
You're missing still the API.
Yes,
key.
API key. Yeah, my key. Because the app gave me an API key. Just that key will unlock this door for me. And then it will count 1 request for me. So I can do 59 more in a minute. So let's create the other one. Oh, nice. It just redirects me to my API. That's beautiful when I click that. Okay, now I need to use ampersand, and I will use app ID, which is your API key actually, equals to, so let's just copy this. And then place, so I can close this, okay. And then place right after London, and here, app ID. And now I need to just grab my API key from here. Control C, copy. And now I'll just paste my API key right here. Now, what do you think if I click enter to say enter? Sorry, once again, enter. Yes, we've got some data here. It doesn't really look nice. For this reason, I think in my personal browser, I'm using a plugin. Let's check what was the name of it. I think JSON format or something. Let's look for Chrome JSON formatter. JSON formatter. Chrome, the icon looks like this. That's the correct one. Let's add this JSON formatter to our, if you're using Chrome. Let me share this link in the chat. So because you will see why I'm using this JSON formatter, add to Chrome, add extension. So this JSON formatter will automatically recognize the JSON format. Now, if I refresh, you can see the difference, and it will turn it to readable format. Oh, magic. Isn't it? Or is it just for me? Now I can read this JSON object very well. Like I can just, expand, collapse all other properties inside a property. So we have another property inside weather. Okay. For example, if I want to access the name, I already know the name, but here is a London, right? To access the name, I will just need to get and assign this to a variable in my JavaScript. And I can basically, this is because an object now, I can basically access that variable name dot weather dot, let's say, main. Or the variable dot main dot temperature. The variable dot main dot feels like. Did you understand that dot notation? Because it's an object. And because I'm going inside and inside another object, nested another object. So then I need to go dot and another object, dot and inside that object. But only thing left is, how can I do that in the backend in my JavaScript file? I think this is almost our, break time, because we start late a little bit. So then I will give a break a bit late. So we can give a break right here. But basically we can see that we can request the data from the from the Open API, Open Weather API, and we can receive the data on the browser. Okay, but we need to do that in JavaScript. So in the next session, we will do that in JavaScript, and I believe we will put them into our web application. So now next time, if you plan to build your own mobile application, let's say, you can make something like this. Right. Any question? No question.
No, not yet.
Have you got any? Have you tried this on your browser?
Yeah, mine is working.
Nice. Zamira, yours?
I didn't get to that point. I was looking on the CD and I lost that CD.
What is it?
When you search for city,
City.
and I don't know where did you get it, CD? Because you said it's in the same page, and I was scrolling because I didn't want to.
Oh, I see. Oh, that one, the city name.
And it's not there.
Well, let me just quickly show you. That's API.
API. I got
That's
that.
current weather data, which is API doc. Now we will go there. Current weather data API doc. And then on the right-hand side menu, we will go and jump into this request by city name.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm in the wrong place, looks like. No, I was in the right place. Oh, okay, here it's on the.
I can share the link again.
Oh, I got it.
Okay. Anyway, let me share. Okay, so that is where we need to read the documentation. So I basically use the same link like it provided me. I changed that city with my city here, London. And app ID is my app ID.
Yeah, I got this part. Yeah.
When I enter, finally, I will receive a JSON object, which means there is no error. But if I have, let's say, let's change one letter from the end, and I will receive an error because it's not correct key. Right? So that's the 401 error message. We'll do that. How can we get the response and how can we catch the error? Right? Do you remember this? Response and the errors. So if everything is correct, so we will get a response. If something is going wrong, then we will receive error. All right. So now in the next session, JavaScript part, we will do that with promises. I promise you. This time they all use. All right. So any question? Do you enjoy?
Yep, no questions.
Do you enjoy?
Yes.
All right, Emirhan.
He's on
Yours.
break.
Yes, I was already on the break.
Awesome. Sorry. I also think so. Okay, sorry. So then, what time is it then? It's 55. So let's give 15 minutes break, which means 10 past your time zone. We will get back here, okay? Exactly almost 16 or 15 minutes later. All right. So 10 past your time. I will see you soon then. All right. So let's get back to work. Are you here?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Emirhan, sorry. All right, Emirhan, we are studying that. So, all right, now this is how we request to the API endpoint. Now, the question, I need to get that keyword or just the word from user. Instead of I type it myself, I now need to get this from my app. So like from here. Okay, so that's basically, again, DOM elements that we will get the input value from here when a user click the submit button. Okay, so that's the story. Okay, so let's check first. Again, we are expecting user to click on the submit button, or we can listen the submit button when it's clicked. Again, or we can see if the submit button is actually submitting the form. So we can do two things. One, we can just, again, listen the button to be clicked, or we can listen form to be submitted. Because every submit button submits the form. Look at this now. If I visit this HTML page from my desktop, is the local one, so that's my local. If I click that submit button, look at this URL. Click submit button and with a question mark. And look at this icon, it's just a little bit loading. Look, it's been loaded. So which means if I click this submit button, this form is being submitted. A very popular way, I can't say it's popular, but is I think the most proper way to do this is listening if the form is being submitted instead of this button is clicked. Because this form might have several other items, not just for input box, so then we may need to access them later. But anyway, again, I'm not going to listen the button this time, but I'm going to listen if form is submitted. Okay, to do that, one, I need to access this form in my basically HTML file. So let's go to our JavaScript part, which is weather.js. Okay, Zamira, do you have any question before we start in this part? Submitting the form. Okay. So now let's select the form first. So let's create a variable const form equals to document dot query selector Let's check the query selector. And then what is the name? Is there any class? Is there anything for this? No, we have form. So we basically select form with quotation marks, with a single for the quotation marks. Okay. So I'm not going to select by ID. I'm not going to select by tag. I'm basically using query selector because inside I can make it a class with you, including a dot. I can make it an ID. And now, forgive my keyboard. I'm looking for my hash. I don't know what this hash key. Ah, I can't find it. But I think you got me. Okay, where is my? Ah, here it is. Okay. Okay, here it is. So the ID, so that's 3. Oh yeah, okay. So now I can use ID there, okay? But now it's the tag, so that's why I just type form. That will basically select the form from a HTML file. But again, I sometimes like to become a specific when it comes to select a form. Because this form is inside the top banner, I would, okay, that's correct. But if I go more specific, let's do that, like CSS selector, the form inside top banner. How do we do that? Dot top banner space form. So that's basically like a CSS selector, the form in the top banner. So again, the form in the top banner. Okay, the top banner is class, form is the tag. So then that's the class with the dot space. Form is basically the same thing that we do. So save this. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is, because I need to get the value from input, I need to also need an input selector. So let's go to const input and then say document.query selector. This time, again, that's inside the top banner. Let's check out. It's the input is still inside the top banner. So now let's go and say, I'm going to select the top banner and input. You can even do that. So let's just get rid of this left bar. I think this be okay. So I select the input in the form in the top banner. So the input inside the form and inside top banner. Okay, so we can basically select this input as well as you see here. Any question? Any question? No question. Okay, so that is it for now. That's the get data from the form. When the form is submitted, get data from input. So we will use it somewhere here. Okay, somewhere before fetch the data. So we just select the element first, then we will access their value and we will assign a on submit event for this. Okay, so let's do that and let's add event listener to the form to submit. So here I need to add event listener to the form element. Okay, right down here.
So you don't need a submit button, right, to listen it at all?
Yeah.
You do have a form and input already.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because the submit button, look, it will submit the form. So that's its job already. So it will do its job. What I need to do is to listen the form is submitted.
Okay.
Okay, so that is, okay, let's just make a bit more, so like, so that's the head, like the main algorithm. And so that's another, so that, let's say this asterisk is the main item, but this bit is the first bit, which is the select elements from HTML. select HTML elements. Okay, so that's how I selected the elements. Then I will add event listener to my form. So because I already selected the form here, so I will use basically form, and then I will go and add event listener to the form. And basically this time I need to know that event listener is accepting two parameters. One is the type, what type of event listener you want that, not click, but this time is submit. The second is my function. When it happens, then I will make a callback function, will run whenever it is submitted. So the first element is going to be submit. So I'm going to listen the submit. And second, when this event happened, I need a function to run. Are you happy if I use arrow function or just this function? Which one are you more happy with?
Arrow.
Any?
Okay, so I'm going to use the arrow function and the curly braces. And of course, I think we deleted this. Okay. Now, well, when the submit happens, I will get this input value, right? That's what I will do. I will get this input value and also call this API. Call this API. That's it. This is what I will do whenever I click that button. Okay, let's do this. So I have added an event listener to the form element. Now I need to get input value. Let's do that. So okay, one more thing before I get input value. Remember, at event listeners, all event listeners has an event object passing to the function automatically. So we don't have to do anything. Just pass E to the parameter and then now get this E, you know, console log E target value something, remember. But this time, because it's a form, it's not button, it's not input, so I can't get any value from the input because it's a form. What I can do is I will use this function, prevent default function. Okay, this is a function, so that's why I'm going to use this. Okay, what does prevent default do is, now look at this app. Okay, look at this app. When I click submit, the page doesn't reload. Look at this icon, it's not reloading. But if I not prevent the default, you know, what's the default action for submit? Is reload the page. So that's the default. Because I'm passing this prevent default function, it's basically preventing the default. So this is the default. Look, as soon as I click submit, the page is being loaded, right? Loading. So this page is loading when I click that. Do you see that? Do you see it?
Yes.
What's the problem? Because when you have many cities, when you submit, then it's all clear. Okay. So what I do is I basically prevent the default. So then this page is not being submitted again. Look, it doesn't reload, basically. Okay. So I first prevent the default when I submit a form with a button. Okay. Now I will get an input value. How can I get the input value? Basically, input, which is this. Okay, document query top menu form input dot value. First of all, let's put this value in a console log. Okay, so let's put this into the console log. Okay, and let's see if we can get the value correctly. Right click, inspect, console. Where are you? Here it is. Oops. Oh, there's nice mobile. Oh, there's a mobile view as well. Let's go to the console now. Okay, let's click the submit button if you can get any value. So first, let's type in London. Let's click. Oh, here we have. So we basically listen the submit, like the form submit, and then first prevent the default. Okay, if we didn't prevent the default, what happens? Let's type in London, submit, boom, gone. Did you see the difference? Have you seen the difference?
Yeah.
Let's try somewhere else. Submit. Zamira, do you see the difference now? It just submit the form, print out, but
I
refresh the
did,
page.
and this is, I also had the form, but not the submit. I had it for the button,
Okay,
and that's how I didn't see it, and now I see what was I was missing its default, the prevent default. It was doing
Maybe.
the same thing.
maybe, yeah. That might
Yeah.
be because of the submit buttons, always submit the form.
Okay.
If you don't prevent default, even if you listen the button click, that's fine. You can listen the buttons click. I'm listening to the form submit. You should use the prevent default. So then it will not load the page. So you can get the value correctly.
So do we
it's-
need always have it for the form and submit button to prevent it?
That's right. If your button type is submit,
Okay.
if your button type is button, you don't have to do that because they don't submit the form. Look now,
Okay.
save. This type is button now. The button type buttons, they don't submit the page. It's their habit. So you don't have, that's the default. So you don't have to prevent default because they are not submitting. But if you are missing the type, or if you have the type to submit, so then it submits the page. Usually it should submit, but it looks it's not submitting. So let's go in and type submit. Yeah, now it's to type submit, it submits the form. Right now I need to refresh. That's interesting. I saved the file, but it seems it's not submitting the file now. Now, because of our JavaScript, yeah, because our JavaScript is preventing, that's why. Okay, so if you haven't specified any type, or the type is submit, then they do submit the form, look, and then reload the page, and everything just vanish. And then if you do type button, just button, so again, look at this. Now it's not reloading the page. Okay, so you don't have to prevent default for the button type button. But again, our type is submit, which is the proper way. So as I have a button type submit and I have a form to be submitted, then now it's submitting the page and refreshing the page, but I will prevent the default. I get the value from input value. Now I need to fetch data from this page, from this API endpoint. Now I've got the text, but now I need my API key. Okay, so let's copy my API key or your own API keys. Before the form and event listener, let's just also create one const. And this time, let's say app ID or something, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, or API key, I don't know. But because this calling app ID, so I will keep it app ID, okay? Then I will just pass as a string. So that's my app ID, okay? Now, I can now create a nice URL, you know, with the JavaScript concatenations. So after I create my URL, I will basically fetch request from this API and see if I can get a correct JSON data to my web application. Now, is there any question about this? I guess no. Now, that's the get input value. Next, create doesn't look right to me. Construct looks way better. Construct the API endpoint URL with input value and app ID. Okay, now we will create a variable, again, could be a const anyway. So let's say the URL equals to what? Okay, that would be my URL. Again, look at this, copy this URL from here, and in a string, place in here. Oops, place in here. Okay. Again, that's because, single line, my JavaScript, just putting in the next line, don't worry. That's because of the prettier I think I'm using. Okay, so that's my URL. But the thing is, I am not taking this London as hard-coded, but I will take this London from here, input value. So I will replace this London with this, and my API key with this. Okay, remember how we concatenate the data. You can use concatenation, or you can use, I forgot the name.
The $sign thing.
Yeah, dollars. What was the name of it? It's not string interpolation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can use string interpolation. That's way better. I would prefer the string interpolation, but you can use concatenation method as well, like with plus signs. I think you already know that. So basically, after this Q, hit another colon plus, instead of London, just place of your input value there. Okay, so input value there. Oops, I didn't copy correctly. Oh yeah, let's go back. Okay, Control C. That's all by keyboard. Sorry. Okay, another single quote, but this time it should be ampersand there. Okay, ampersand. I think you can't read that correctly because it's now breaking down the lines. So that's the correct one. So the app ID again with another single quote, with another plus sign, with another not single quote, but this time I will need to get the API app ID. So that's basically is you're correct. Again, it's just breaking down this line. Sorry. But my prettier is just working and then putting into the separate lines. How can I disable it? Oh, I can make it format on save row. Sorry, you don't have to do this part because that's just for me. Format on save. Format on save should be off. So now it wouldn't be formatting. Just bring them back. So that's string concatenation. And this one, basically, that's our URL. And now I can just move it to another line there. And that's basically my URL. Okay, that's my endpoint. Zamra, any question? So that's London. That's my app ID.
Nope, I don't have any questions.
Right. John, welcome, by the way. So now that's my API endpoint key that I'm going to request the data to this address now. But again, which method? What do you think? Which method should I use to fetch data? Do you have any method to use for? Which one did you use for the image? Image.
Fetch and then.
What is it?
We used fetch and then
Fetch.
then.
That's correct. Fetch. Fetch is a function, returns a promise. Okay. So basically, we can use fetch. Fetch is a JavaScript function. Again, this function that you can pass this URL like this. Oops. This URL. And then put that URL into the fetch. That basically go to page like we did in the browser. It will go to the fetch, this URL in the background, and then brings the data. When the data comes back, it will take some time, right? Remember the set timeout function we created last time. It's basically simulating the delay. Again, this fetch should have some delay. For example, if we inspect the page here, and if we go to the network tab, and you can see how many milliseconds may delay to receive this data. Refresh. It is almost there. Okay. It's, now we can see all, but it's 969 millisecond to be finished to receive this, almost 1 second, right? So then our JavaScript should continue to run. So that's because, oh, actually that's ending right here. Yeah, all the requests is done right here. So over 1,000. Well, so there is a delay, and it's exactly the promise. So then I need to use then after this keyword and catch for the errors. That's how it works. If this URL, if this fetch resolves correctly, then I have a response. So if not, then I will catch the error. So Emirhan, I think you're okay with these two, right?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay, Zamir, how about you? Then and catch, are you okay with them?
Yes.
How they're okay. So then and catch accepts callback function, like this E we are passing in. But this time, again, arrow function, we will pass in here. Okay, so that's the arrow function, right? For then, and we will just simply add response in it. And for catch, again, another, parenthesis, another arrow function. And this time we will just check error or just say error. Okay. Sometimes for a short form, we just call it res, and sometimes error for the shortcut. Now you can console log the response, and you can console log the error if you have one. Okay, so that response is passed to inside this function. Is really nice. Like arrow function is really nice to explain. The get to res and pass into the function, get the error and pass into the function. So inside this function block, now I can console log the response. But I think we need to JSON parse before to see the response. Not really sure, because it's been a long time. I'm not using fetch because I'm using different method I will show you in this lesson. But let's try. Just console log the res, which is response, and let's console log the error. Okay, done. So now we fetch data from OpenWeather application with this fetch function. If we have a successful response, which is this, then we will console log all this response to our console in here. We will write in here. If we see any error, like let's say that city is missing, London with double N, and there is no city not found, 404 error. Okay, so that's catch. All right, let's try with London. So I type London here. And if I click submit, if everything's correct in here, we should see a console with a JSON response. Let's do it again. Let's click submit, and there is our response. Nice. That's our response. There's a response body. There's a response body use headers, okays. It's okay. You know, there is no error. So it's in the response. It's 200. It's usually okay. Okay, beautiful. And we need to get the data from, I believe, somewhere in somewhere. We will do that soon. Okay, so that's okay. Let's pass with double N. I believe we will now catch the error. Let's click, and now this is the error. Okay, So the get, I'm not sure if it's, I think we do receive an error. And again, it's a kind of a response, but this time the OK is false with the 404, which is not found message. Okay, so it returns an error because it's not OK if response is not OK. Okay, so that's the response is not OK here. That's basically how fetch works. But you know, the developers always look for an easy way to do this stuff. And then they also implemented a library called Axios. Let me take you to their website. I'm not sure which one of theirs. Not this one. Yeah, Axios. Okay. It's a JavaScript library. It makes everything much more easy than fetch. You can read the documentation if you want. Let me just copy paste for you. Do and work almost similar way how fetch works, but you can handle the response and the errors much better than fetch. Okay, you can even request multiple times in one request, and then even when it comes to the post requests, it's much more slick how you pass your headers in the post requests. So oh wait, what happened? My Mac is automatically changed my microphone. Are you hearing well? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Because I see several times it switched my mic. All right, so then Axios is handling this stuff way better. So how can we use Axios? If you look at your HTML file, there is one Axios file is included at the end, this one. Once you include this to your HTML, you are good to go. Or you can use, if you're using Node.js or React stuff, and then you can import that CSS to your JavaScript automatically. But again, it really doesn't matter. Just you need to first include your Axios library to your file, which is fine, what we did here. It's automatically done, so you don't have to do this. Then the next is easy. Instead of just using fetch, use Axios. And then just for your get request, use get and open your parentheses, and then pass your URL. Then the same as you do here, response, and catch, and then error, and then console log the error. This is exactly what we do. I will basically change this bit with the Axios dot get, and inside these parameters, I'll use URL from here. That's it.
Did you send the link or?
Axios?
Yes, Access.
Let's do that.
So I can see.
If you're already using the boilerplate from the GitHub, Clarusway, it's there. But which link do you want? This link or this link?
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
This link. Okay. I will do that. In the Slack chat. Okay, now I passed in the class chat. All right. Okay. Any question for this part? I replace fetch with this bit only. Any question? Do the same thing, almost same thing, but I think now our response will look way better. Let's see, save and do the same stuff again, London, and submit, and look at this now. Our response is way better structured as we had in the fetch. Okay, so again, you can check the status 200, status text okay. In here again, But now what I need to reach out is the data, right? Response.data. So instead of console log the response there, let's just response.data and see again what it looks like. Submit. Now it's the response.data. The coordination, the clouds, the base, main, name, snow is exactly the same response we got from here. Do it again. Okay, do it again. Chord, weather, main, wind, clouds, sys, time zone ID, and everything right in the here now. Okay. So if you remember your fetch, you should also JSON stringify or JSON parse, right, to get this from the response. But here you don't have to do that. Just type response.data and you receive your data. That's all. Let's deal with error. So let's just type Californian. Just make a mistake here. Click, it's now error with an error message. Actually, our catch is now catching the error. If you don't have catch part for this app, and you can see there will be a promise missing error, I believe. London again with double N is wrong. Okay, uncount in promise because I don't have catch. So that's why I should include my catch there to check out my error. But I'm always not good with the error. I think that's not the error data, but should be something error body message or something. I will check out later. Yeah, so now we can have the error message, which is 404. Okay, that's Axios. Are we okay with this, Axios? Zamira? Okay, John?
Yes.
All right. And Emirhan?
Yes.
Awesome. So I try to explain what we do here. Well, first of all, we listen for the form to be submitted, then just console log if we can get the correct value, like the London, we just type in, and then we constructed our URL with this. Okay, so we need to pass the query to this address with this input value with our API key. And finally, we fetch the results or send a GET request. Then, if we get the response correctly, put it in our console log for now. If we have some error, let's just catch the error and console log the error. That's it. That bit is for now. And the next bit, after the break, we will just put all this data back to our application, like in this example again, here. So when you type a name, so we can now get the data correctly, but next bit left is placing in a card, make it look nice, and then place into your application. So when you click submit, get this data, get the country, get the the metrics, the value, get the icon set, get what's happening, actually the condition there. That's it. That's bit left. So if we have some time, also we can just repeat our request once again. Then it will give an error. That's it. That's the last bit. Okay. So, well, I'll see you again 15 minutes later. Okay. Yeah, so what time is it? Yeah, it's now 48, let's say 50. So I will get back 5 past your time zone. So we will exactly have almost 70 minutes or something. So I'll back we will back 5 past your time zone, and we'll finish the rest of the application. Awesome. So see you soon then. All right, the last bit. Now, we've got our response and print out on the screen. Sorry, actually the console, sorry. Print out in the console, and the error also print out in the console. Let's quick recap for this error. Well, if you go to the Axios page, oops, not this one. If you go to the Axios page and then handling the errors section, this bit. So now you can see if you want to print out the error message properly, we should to say, I mean, this is error, ours is error. So the error response data will print out our error message. So let's do it again. For example, you type a wrong name here. All right, and then if you submit, then in the console, we will receive an error. But again, this error is not the message itself, because we want to actually print out the message itself. So what's the message? It's not written here. The message is the city is not founded. Okay, so then basically, again, if you refer to this documentation, it says that error, which is error for us, response.data. So error response.data. If you save this, now if you refresh this, I hope you can hear me. I don't know, this computer is switching my microphone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So now if you refresh and with a wrong name, again, submit, now you can see the message object with the code, but the message city not found. So next time, if you can say dot message there, now you can basically see the message itself. Once again, lund submit city not found. So we can grab this data and print in here. Let's do it first because it's very, very easy. Okay. Remember, when you have the same city 2 times, okay, we can't do that here, but let's do it here. So if you have the same city, if you request the same city again and submit, it returns you an error. And if you just type a name of a wrong city name, it just request failed with error code 404. So which means that now we can print out this message first, then we can continue with the put in all this all this city data into nice, beautiful layout here. Okay, so let's handle with the error first, then we can continue with the response. Okay, so well, again, that's the structure, and basically you can put that down there, and then you can even put that down here, and okay, now it works fine. Now, next thing is the catching the error. Well, we usually console log this error message, but instead of console log, we need to print in to this area, like right under the input box, we should have some message element. Let's check out our HTML file. In HTML file, if you look at under the input, we can see a span, the class is message. Okay, you can see with a class message. So what I can do is, first of all, let's select this element into JavaScript with a query selector. And after that, just change its inner HTML with our error message. That's it. So again, let's get back to the very beginning of the JavaScript file where we get the form and input. But this time, let's get the message element. Const message equals to document.get query selector. Let's just select this all. Let's copy everything from here. Okay, document query selector, but this time is not the top banner form input, but I think it is now top banner because this form is inside the top banner form and the message class. Okay, so this class message MSG. So top banner form and message class. Again, our main focus was JavaScript today. So that's why I'm not going very detailed in the CSS selectors. So that's basically a CSS selector that I use inside the query selector. Now our message element is selected. What I will do next is instead of console log my error message, I will just change the inner HTML of this message. That's it. That's it. So again, not the console log my error message, but again, let's just open up this parenthesis. Now, instead of console log that error message, let's change the message dot msg dot inner HTML to my error response data whenever I have an error. Okay, save, and I think it's okay now. That's it. This is how I can basically show my error message up there. Okay, so let's see if that works. Again, let's go back to the app. Now, that's my app that they are building. So let's type a wrong name and then submit. Whoa, city not found. Good. So we got a really nice error message here, which is from our error response data message. Okay, are we okay with this part? We change the inner HTML of that message element I have selected in the beginning of the file. And that's our error message comes from our Axios get request, but that's because error, we catch the error. Any question, any generic question about this part?
I have a quick question. I think I missed that part. Sorry, I was like with kids for a few minutes. Was the one you have response that data dot message? So the arrows comes for the parameter, which is in a catch, and then response. Where does it come from? Is this? Oh, you just expanded.
Okay, the response, or well, yeah, this response. You mean?
Yes, this response.
Okay, that is actually in the documentation says like if you click handling errors on the left-hand side, the handling errors, it says that if you want to print out your error data, this is the way.
Oh, okay.
This is the status and this is the headers. So this is how you can handle the errors. Okay, so we console log this first, and then we can see there is an object with a message. Let's do that if you want. So that error response data will return an object, and then this object has code. This object is actually this object. Let me show you quickly. Okay, so if you put,
I'm sorry about that. You have
no. So let's do that. So if I click launch and then enter, so this is what it returns, this API, right? Yeah. Let's look at our application now. If I just console log this bit, let's just turn this line off and let's just console log the error response data, which documentation suggests. Okay, so I will copy everything which documentation suggests. Now, let's inspect and look at this console now. Now I tap the wrong name again, enter, look at this. It's the same object that I received in here, right? It's the same object, which is error response data. To access the message, remember, I need to just use a dot notation one more time and just access the message. I'm very happy you asked that question.
Yeah, really. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, nice. And now you're using the message that inner HTML to show it in that
yes,
not div is
Right. I
Action.
selected the query selector top banner for message, which is this.
On top of it. Yep. Spawn.
And then I'm just changing inner HTML. So I placed my error inside here, inner HTML or inner text, whatever you liked. But I usually use inner HTML, but you can change the inner text as well. When you start learning React, that's way more easy to do all this stuff in React. I don't say the React is easy to understand, but once you understand the whole picture of the React, all this jazz is really easy to do it in the React app. Really, that's why the people prefer React mostly. But again, we have to know this to understand React.
Right.
So that's why. But again, handling this stuff is really easy in React. All right. So because we are not writing, so this is called vanilla JavaScript. So sometimes you may come across the vanilla JavaScript. So this is vanilla, which is pure JavaScript.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when I enter an input, I'm getting get method error like always. Is that normal or?
When you enter, so
For example, London.
That's not normal. It should be.
Not London. For example, Lund, Leo, and D, and I'm getting.
You get this, right? So that's normal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's normal. That's our console log. Whenever you have any error console, the console will automatically print it out for you. It's not us. Okay. This is us. So the last bit is us, but this is not us. That's the console of the Chrome.
I just get the, it says sitting up font, but I don't get the 404.
Maybe that's because of this, just to consoling the error, maybe.
I mean, I said console.log error response data message.
Oh, that's interesting. Is it in the catch?
Yeah, it's in the catch.
Is it Chrome?
No, it's not.
Okay, that's because of Chrome.
Okay.
Most probably, if you use Chrome.
Emirhan makes everything difficult.
Right. All right. So just turn this off, and then on this line, which actually now prints out our message to here. City not found.
Nice.
Okay, good. Now we have that error there. The next thing is, what about our response? How can we handle with response? And how can we print them all on our page like this beautiful layout? Well, this bit, okay, the important bit was this. Okay, how can we get the data? So now you are done. But the next bit is all about HTML and CSS. But again, I'm sorry about, the missing documentation guide. I believe that's the missing, that should be there because, or maybe it's expected from you. So to understand this HTML and CSS part, but okay, I will explain how I figure out how do I really nicely put them in my HTML. So this is the way that I would do. Let me show you my way. That's also good because it's a challenge for the developers. This challenge may be given to you, and it would be a really nice challenge actually, and to handle it. Again, it shouldn't be documented. It should be nice if it was, but I think as a challenge is a good challenge. Okay, so then let's go out and then see our CSS file. Okay, so is our CSS file, and try to understand that CSS. The CSS file is nicely organized, by the way, which is divided by the parts. So I think the part we will be dealing is the section number 1, because our top banner, our header, and our form and our form input and the placeholder, the form button is all here. And then our form button, however, form message is in the section 1. Nice. So that was in the section 1 if you inspect. And then this is the section 1. Okay. But now this is the second section we will be dealing with. And this second section is written as it's their CSS here. So what we have, look at inside this second section, we have container and we have cities. What we don't have in our app, what we don't have in our HTML is the parts inside the cities. We have the cities UL list, but we don't have our list item. So the next item should be list item. But what about the class names? Because if you can't put the correct class names in here, then you can't get that nice card. Okay, so let's continue investigating our CSS file. Okay, so we have Ajax section. Now, if you can, so this is the completed app. So this is our app. Inspect and go through the same section again. The section, container, cities. We have no list item inside the cities. So we have Ajax section. So this is Ajax section. We have Ajax section cities here, cities. And look at here. We have Ajax section city, which looks like should be inside cities. That's why I call this nicely structured. So that cities assigned to UL, which we don't have, is the city, which should be inside the list item. So I'm guessing, again, this city class should be assigned to my list item in the HTML. So I will do that. Class equal to city. Save. Now, let's see if we have a card here. Yes, we do. Okay. So as soon as you assign the city class to the list item, then you will get your nice card available in your HTML. Okay. I'm still continue understanding styling a bit more. Well, in your GitHub, you can see that card has the city name with the country shortcut. And okay, so then let's talk about that bit. The city name with the country shortcut. So what should be in our CSS file if we look at continue? Okay, I don't think that city after is about that our city, because the city after should be this part, this last part. And if you can right click again, and then you can see that after pseudo class, which is after list item city. So that's bit, the last, this small part. Okay, so we shouldn't be really involved with. Okay, so now we have some fig caption. Okay, now I'm thinking, I know fig caption is about images. So that should be something image, which is actually in here, this image. And fig caption always have a figure inside an image, and then there is a caption here. That's how fig caption work in HTML. Okay, but I'm not there. Oh, city temp, nice. So I should have some part with a city temp class, which will automatically create this bit for me, I'm guessing. And there is a city sup. So what does sup? Is it just for this, the super what is it called? It's just, you know, the very, very small letter is just above the text. So maybe this one is just about that. And the city name is, it has also sup again. Well, so the city name should be have some sup, some stuff there. It's just a padding and something else. Oh, we have the city icon.
Superscript.
Yeah, superscript something. Yeah, that's right. Superscript. That's just putting the text above and then make it small and above this text, like this centigrade, or just this you know, the country shortcut. So the one of them should be about one of these, I believe. I'm not sure which one is for which, so we should try. But anyway, I will show you the finalized how I figured out. So this is the way I would go and then figure out. And again, there is an icon stuff there, which should be something about that. You could write it from scratch. That's all fine. I mean, you could just remove everything from from here and then delete and write your own, that's fine, okay, for this card, at least with your own CSS knowledge. But since we all have this, that was the way that I would go and try and error to see how this class works. And let me show you my final result, how I figure out that should work. Okay, so the list item is that. So the next thing is my city name right here, and that city name should be actually you can see that sorry, okay, that should be a city name in our CSS file. So which is the city name. So where is our city name, by the way? Okay, let's check once again. City name.
Yeah.
So we don't have city name, city icon, cities, city temperature, city after, cities. Okay, do we have any city name? So we have city name. So there should be, so we have a city name class, but inside we should have, so this is tag, okay? So that's the tag because there's no dot, there's no hash. So then it should be a HTML tag, okay? Superscript tag. So then I don't have these exactly one. So I will just try. I have no choice. So I will try with some data. So with the city name, and then I will create a sup inside, and let's see how it looks like. Okay. So that's because of city name. Again, you can use span, you can use div, you can use any heading tag, which I would use. So this is the h1 tag. If this is the h1, so I would basically go and use h2 for it. That's my decision, but you can use div or whatever you want. So I will use h2. So this h2, I will give a class name, which is city name. Okay, that's really logical, city name. So just inside this, let's put London and see how it looks like. Okay, in my app. All right, looks nice. I didn't do anything. It's just automatically designed for me, and not, I think, because of the city name here, because of it's just the current color and then current text font type for it. So let's see, and you'll see that I'm not wrong. So that is the current font type. That's it. So that's H2 is automatically created for here. It's not the city name, but it's H2. Okay, there's no city name selector. But if I use sup just after this, because of in my CSS file, and let's say it's the Great Britain GB, and then save, and now you'll see that GB is it super. Now you will see that GBs automatically get this superscript. That's thanks to our CSS sup. Okay, by looking this space, I can understand the sup is inside the city name, and city name is inside the Ajax section. And in my HTML, sup is inside the city name, and city name is inside the Ajax section. Okay, so that's how I configure, how I can understand that should be inside somewhere in here. Again, you can change it to the div if you want, but again, I will stick with the H2 there. Okay, so that bit is this bit, and I'm happy with that. If you don't want to keep London alone, you can just surround it by span if you want. Okay, if you just don't want to keep London alone, so that's what I would do. Okay, doesn't affect anything, just tag around. Okay, anytime you want to change color, so you can assign a class for it, then you're good to go. Okay, good. So I've got the London with the GB. The next bit is now this temperature. All right, for this temperature, I will use div. And let's check out if you have anything with the temperature here. Temperature, temperature, temperature.
You missed it.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, city temp.
Okay.
Okay, city temp. So then I will create a div with a city temp. Let's see how that stuff work. Okay, city temp. Well, let's use it. Okay, I think that one is for this one, but it's not good structure. But I will show you why. City temp. Let's go here now and create div after h2. And this time class, then I will give a class the city temp. Okay. And inside this class, I am now going to write something like, let's say, 12 and save, and then check HTML, how it looks like. Well, nice. We got this 12 there. And I think that's fine, which looks like almost very similar. Okay, 12 there. Okay, nice, nice. Okay, that's the city temp. To understand that pickups the city temp correctly, just inspect and see if that gets the city temp. And just the font size should be 5 rem, but because of my screen size, it's just small, but now it will become bigger. Okay, that's because I understand in here there is a media query. Look at this. There's a media query. This is for the below 700 pixels. Just make the text smaller, 3 rem. But for the larger screens, to make it 5 rem. Next, I need the metric. Like you can prefer the Fahrenheit or Celsius or Kelvin. I don't know who is using Fahrenheit these days. So now I think that's again sup. So let's create a sup here. And then within this sup, it's a tag. Let's use this centigrade stuff then. And okay, that's the hardest part now. You can just use the C for it. But if you want to get exactly this one, so you should search in the Google. This is what I found. Just copy and paste, because that's hard to find on your keyboard, I think. So better to just search in the Google. Okay, so here we have, and that sup is coming from this super. So from here, that's because it's inside the city, not the city name, but inside the city. And here the proof, sup inside the city, right? Inside the list item, the sup inside the city. If I would do it in the CSS, I would definitely change not the city, but it should be the city temp. That's what I would do, city temp. So I can understand, because I don't know the CSS. I'm trying to understand, right? So then I would do that basically. Again, if you save this though, then it will work fine because it's still inside the correct place. That's all. That's how I got the temperature. Now, I think the last part is this figure and the fig caption stuff. If you don't remember how fig caption works, just basically go Google and type fig caption and just see how this fig caption works. So first of all, we have a figure tag. Inside figure, we have an image. After the image, we have fig caption, which is the text like this. So image, they're describing the image. Okay, so this fig caption is describing the image. Now, if you look at the CSS again, we can see something about fig caption, which gives me a clue that I should use figure tag. Okay, so let's use it right after the div here. It would be a really nice challenge for a company, really. So then let's go and use figure for it now. Again, how I can use figure with an image and with fig caption. So that's how figure works. So basically you can also copy paste from here to here if you want, but I will just basically type fig caption. Does it automatically? No. Fig caption. Okay, so that's how figure and fig caption works. Now, only problem left. So I can write the description here. It's like rainy, cloudy, few clouds, clear sky. I will get this text from my request. Okay, from my request here. Okay, so I will get the clouds, overcast clouds, this text from here. Okay, but how about the image? How can I get the image? This image.
Can you use like a if statement?
We will use an if statement, but before the if statement, let's check out our documentation file, which is Open Weather API. This one. So in this page, in somewhere, because it's returning, so that's the response. So that's the parameter it responds us back. So then let's just search if we can find anything with image. No, not any image there. Okay, if we don't have image, what else we should have? Logo? Don't think so. So then
I already have the photos, I mean, from GitHub. So
what is
you
it?
can-
Photo?
yeah, photo on GitHub. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can download it as well. if you
Where
want.
is it? So is it inside the
Yeah, inside SVJ.
SVGs?
Yeah.
01. I don't think they are.
Yeah, if you click
Yeah,
that.
it's
Oh,
those.
there.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. But how about, okay, so then, okay, good. That's good point. Now I need these names 03N, 02N, 01N, or 04N. So then you used if statement for it, don't you?
Yeah, if statement or switch.
Okay. What about if we go to the response, if I can get the icon name is 04N? I can
Oh,
basically,
I didn't see that.
yeah, there is the weather.icon 04N. That's nice. So then I can request 04N dot svg from this page. Yes, from here. So for example, I need to get this image, should be raw. So I should use this link from here. Then just to the end, I need to add .svg. So that's the image. If I remove the token, does it work? It doesn't, because it's okay. So you need to include that token as well, don't you? Okay, but I have another idea. But we can use this basically, no problem. We can use this, but we need to token again anytime. But in this documentation, this morning I found the icon. Okay, why don't we search icon? Now we can see this icon there, and weather condition codes with icon. Look at this now. This is the link I was looking for. Okay, so because now I found the correct words, not the image, not the logo, but the icon. So now we can open this in a new tab. It will tell us where can we get these icon sets. How can we send the request? So that's the correct request that you can send to. That's somewhere else that you will just pass the logo name, which is like 10D. And the rest is just the same as it is. Just you will replace the logo name, the icon name with this only. Okay, so if you do that, you will receive the correct image list. Actually, that's the open weather suggestion. Okay, but again, if you want to follow up how the SVG file here, that's totally fine.
Wait, can you do it with the link? Since
I think-
I mean, like in the GitHub, there's only 4. options, but then when you look at the website that you just looked at
Yeah, in
on
the
an open
website
web,
there are a lot.
there's more than 4. So
Yeah. In the website there are more. In our app there are just 4. Yeah, you are right. So then, if you have more than 4, then in the web, it's good to follow the documentation here, because you can see there is a lot.
yeah.
And 04D, 04N, which is this, 043, 042, 041, and 049, 10N. So we have more actually, right? So more than this. So let's follow up their documentation, by the way, and see how it looks like in our app. Okay, so then for the image, again, for the image, where is my HTML file? I'm still trying to understand this part with the list item, because I will generate this HTML in my JavaScript file whenever I get the correct response. That's the part. So I'm just trying to construct it for HTML now to see in here. Once I am sure, then I will basically create that in the JavaScript, not in the HTML. But let's just search the image. Let's find from the documentation. Let's use this. Just copy this. So paste this into the source. For the alt, I can put anything. So which is 10D. The 10D is this rain. I can say rain. So here, just alternate text is rain. Okay. Fig caption should be also the rain. Okay. Now let's see how does it look like in my application. Okay, so that looks like this and the rain. Okay, let's make it bigger. So again, text is bigger. This shows rain. Well, it was on the left aligned, but it looks like a bit of indentation here. So let's see if that indentation because of the image itself. Yeah, because image has, the space is around. So that's why it looks like is a bit indented here. So what I can do, I can use the margin, the negative numbers for the margins, but I will just keep it as it is, so you can play around with this if you want, or you can just add more padding to the left, so you can put this rain a bit more to here, which is inside the fig caption. So you can say margin left. You can add some margin left here with some pixels. Let's try 12 pixels. Does it work? It seems it. Yeah, it seems it did. Let's make it 24. And yeah, you can see it's here now. So this is all up to you, but I will not do that much detail. So basically just keep it as it is. That's because functionality is working very, very well now. So next thing I will consider here after, that bit again is not that easy, okay, as I show you, but again, it will just try an error. Once I have the structure, the next part is delete everything. I didn't delete, by the way. It's all here. I will get this bit and make it in the JavaScript. And I get the response here. Instead of console logging my data, like I made for my error message, I this time will create that list item in here. Okay. All right, how can I structure this? I will show you a very easy way for it. First of all, you will remember this. Create element. Remember, document create element. So the first of all, let's create that city card item. So let's give a name, city card item. And document create element list item. You know, that bit will create me a list item like I did here. And now I need to assign a class name to the list item. So next thing is city card item dot class list dot add. So I'm going to add a class to that list item, which is city, forgot, city name, just city, that's it. Okay, these 2 lines will just create me a list item with a class of city. That's it. This is how I create my list item. That's it. Save. Okay, after I got the response, again, this list item will be created for me. It's empty now. If you don't believe me, let's see in this app. Inspect, go to the UL. That's what I created in HTML. Okay, that's not counted. But if I just type the correct name, let's say, okay, so let's try this. You will, after I click submit, I don't see any error. But okay, because we didn't append it. It's been created, but not appended to the cities. Sorry. It's been created, but not in here. That's because we haven't appended yet. How do we append this part to this UL? Okay, let's do that. This all happens in the response side, okay? Because after I get the correct response. Okay, now I need to this time. Where is my list items? Oh, I didn't select it. Okay. Now I need to select this area again. Document get element by class cities, because I'm going to add my list item that I've created here to here. So that's why, again, for the last bit for this part, let's create const city list equal to document dot query selector, and then query selector and not all, and which is going to be the cities inside Ajax section, or just say cities. Now I've selected the UL list now. I've created my list item now. The last part is append this list item to the UL list here. So again, that's my UL list that I've created, right? Sorry, I selected from here, cities. I selected that UL list. I've created my list item here with this 2-bit. And now let's just append child to my UL list. Well, what I will do is, again, sorry, the name is city list, and then append child my city card item. You should have done this before, I believe, in the DOM lessons. So now, okay, once again, this time, if I just write a correct city name, you will see the list item will be generated for us with a class of city and appended to the UL, but it's empty. So let's just add another country, sorry, city California. Submit. So there's another card for us, but it's empty. That's because our list
Inner
item.
HTML, right?
Yes. Now we will change its inner HTML to this. We only created our list item and included append child to the UL. That's what we have done so far, but it's empty. But now I will copy everything inside this list item. Just copy. Okay, I now copy it. Now here, right in this line, in this part, I can city card item dot inner HTML to be what? Now it's a whole HTML, right?
That's
So I can't make it in a single line. I will put them into several lines. You can see here, almost 15.
H2.
Yeah. I will use backtick, string interpolation here. If I use backtick, and now I need to figure out where my backtick is, but I will use my Max keyboard. It didn't work. There should be option on this. Okay, backtick. All right. So I'm going to use backtick this time. Because in JavaScript, backtick will allow you to go as many lines you want. Okay. So, and I will paste everything I copied from my HTML file. So I will copy from here. And I will paste right in between these brackets, the backticks, and just give some nice indentation here. So basically, let's just indent once, and then indent all this again. Just keep the indentation nice. If I use prettier, I turn this off. It will automatically do for me, but I'll just manually do that. And now I can use this backticks by just adding several lines as I did in HTML to here. So this time, let's try. But all cities will be London with the same temperature and the same image, okay? But don't worry, we will change them soon. Save this.
Line 23, you have 60
What is
instead of line 20.
There's a typo on line 23.
Where is it?
Line
City.
23.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, city card item. Okay, nice. Thank you very much. Let's try this time California and submit. Oops, London. Okay, nice. It's working. Good, good, good. Okay, so now I can try Manchester.
Will give you London again.
And that's, was it?
It will give you London again.
Yeah, that's because it's London. But now
Yeah.
you get what we'll do. We'll replace all the London, all this
Name.
country, all this temperature, all this metric, all this other stuff, the image, and the
Nice.
rain text. We will pick up from here, the response.data. Okay, so we will get all this data from there. So once again, let's remember, if we console log the response.data, what we would receive first. Okay, save this. And now every time we got the London card here, let's see what object we receive for our response.data. So now let's try London bit, okay, and submit. Now that's the, okay, now we will get the London card, correct, but with the wrong temperature. So in here, you will see that where we get the city name is actually basically the name, which is, okay, so if you think that this is the response data, so that's the name is right after the data. So res data.name is the name of the city. So let's do that. Instead of writing and hard coding London here, because we use backtick there, now I can use the string interpolation stuff, which is $, and then curly brace, and another curly brace. And now I can write any JavaScript in between, which is response.data.name. Okay, save. Now let's try Manchester or California. Save, submit. This time we got the California. Oh, yes, perfect. Now, what about the GB? Where does GB coming from? Now, let's figure out where the country tag coming from. It's sometimes called chip. It's sometimes called badge. This small stuff. Anyway, so let's find where this GB coming from. Okay. Oh, I believe here the country inside sys country. Okay. The rest data sys country. So let's do that for here. So copy everything from here and paste sys instead of name sys.country. Save. Let's try again. California. Submit. Oh, yes. All right. Do you enjoy?
I do have a question though.
Yes.
So what if we type in something that has multiple results?
I didn't come to that point. Yeah, if you type the same name, right?
Oh, no. For example, there's a state called California, but there's also a city called California.
Oh, that will, I think, find the cities, not the state, but the city, California.
So what about, isn't there some cities with the same name?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering about that.
That's what open weather should think about.
Okay.
But good question.
Okay.
But this is basically the requesting from them, so they have to handle that data. This is what I can't do actually. So I can just request name because their API says that you can pass the city name, then I will pass you the data. So that's their decision. I have no idea. Right. Okay. Now the temperature. So I think you got the point. So here's we have to find somewhere our temperature. It should be in the weather somewhere. And was it? Oh, okay. So where can I get this? Okay, main temp. Okay, temp is here. Temp is here. But I don't think this is as centigrade as I think maybe Kelvin. And do you know? I think it's Kelvin. Right, it's Kelvin. But are you familiar with Kelvin or centigrades? Celsius, sorry.
Celsius. Yeah.
Well, I use Fahrenheit.
Kelvin is only used for the scientists, so Kelvin normally not.
So since the API provides Celsius, does that mean that if I want to do Fahrenheit, I would have to separately put in an equation?
Sure. Let's check if we have in something in the documentation. I think in the documentation somewhere where we pass that API. Let's find the API we pass with a name. Call the API with a city name. Okay, so that's how we call and request. Okay. Plus, we can pass. Okay, we just pass Q as a parameter, the city name, and we pass the API app ID. You can also pass the units. So I think if you change that unit to is actually now standard, but if we try metric, I believe it will turn out some Celsius for us. If you keep standard, I think it will keep Kelvin, so we can learn more. Oh, Fahrenheit, sorry. Yeah, if you use imperial, you will get Fahrenheit.
Okay.
If you use units metric, you will get Celsius. If you use default, it's Kelvin. So what we receive now is Kelvin. So the documentation says, if I want to receive Celsius, I should pass units metric. Units equals to metric. For you, John, you want to send this units imperial.
And where are we implementing this? At the beginning? When
Let
we're
me
first
show
calling
you.
the API?
In the URL.
In the
Let's
URL,
copy
okay.
this bit, okay? And let's go to the URL that we get request. The request has our queue, which is London. This query, basically, is the London. Our app ID. You can do it before or after if you want, but the important part is using ampersand. The question mark, I think, John, you weren't in here when I explained this bit. So that's your API endpoint until this part, okay? Then after this bit, with a question mark, your parameters are starting. What parameters you want to send to the API? So there's the London, which is the name of the city, with the Q equals to London, okay? So that's your query. And your application ID, which is the API key, is this.
So
now-
everything is separated by ampersand. So you would just do
separated
ampersand units
ampersand.
equal metric.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Now I will use an ampersand at the end of my URL, and I will paste this units metric. Now you can see that Celsius will now replace with, Kelvin will replace with Celsius. So look at this main temp. So that's Kelvin now, right? So now refresh or enter, and you will see now it's Celsius 8. Now, if you do that, John, imperial for the Fahrenheit, imperial, I think. So now enter, now it's Fahrenheit, see?
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. So then, but I will continue with the Celsius. So let's get back again, units metric. So Zamra, is that bit clear?
Yes.
So just add one more parameter to your URL and you are good to go. So you got this, basically your Celsius. So that's response data main temp. This bit is, again, let's open up our $, curly braces, and then response.data.main.temp. Oh, but wait, before that, we need to also update our URL here. So the plus sign, again, single quotation, ampersand, units, ampersand, units equals to metric. Okay. So let's do it again here. Let's do London. Submit. This time we should get the correct Celsius, but we will float it or round it. I think round would be fine. If it is above 0.5, it will round up. It will, if it is below 0.5, it will just round down. That's, I think, good point. So now we will see 8. We will see, I believe, 9 for it. Okay. So let's round up this math round function. Math.round, and just surround it with this function, save it, try it, and see it. There you go, 9 Celsius. Okay, are we happy so far?
Yes.
Awesome. Now the next bit is the name of the icon set and the caption. Okay, so where we can get the name of the icon set, again, it should be somewhere in, do you remember? Whether is the icon, there we go. Okay. But you can see here the weather returns an array. So I cannot select the weather dot icon. I can't do that. So again, for the weather, it returns an array here. See, it's an array. And this is the first part of the array. What I will select is, I will select the 0, the first index of this array, which is this. Then I will go for the icon. Okay, so to do that, again, I will need to break up with a $, the curly brace, and another curly brace. It's not a $, okay. Now, right here, response.data.weather, this bit, the weather, but the first indexed 0 indexed dot icon save. That's because the weather returns an array. So this bit we should be careful. So it's an array. There could be multiple weathers, which means, but I'll just go simple. I'll select the first one and I will put that icon there. And I will just write main for the description, clouds. Okay, right here and also here, the same bit. So again, the $, it's not a $, curly braces, again, response, data, weather, 0, item, and main for this part, main. And also the same thing for here. Okay, I think we are okay. We can now get rid of this London hard-coded version from here. So get rid of all this list item, save. So now it's empty. Just say London, submit. Oh, nice. Let's use California. Or let's use an error. Oops, city not found. Nice. So let's go for, okay, we got this as again 9, you know. Submit, California, clouds again. New Jersey. Here it is. Oh, snow. That's different. Okay. So I think that works. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
There are some very small mistakes I believe you can fix. The one of them is city not found error should be removed once it finds. So I think should be removed. Where actually happens is after you click submit button, you can remove this text very quickly. So when do you submit the form, which is exactly here, wherever you submit the form, you can first clear the value somewhere here. That's fine. Okay. So then this message will gone. The other thing, if you type the same city again, it will repeat the same city again. So what you need to do is you need to get all the items from this list to an array, which is very, very simply is get query selector all, the query selector all cities will return you all the cities that you have in an array. So I will show you this quickly. Then you can filter out their names. And if the name is matching, so you can show the error. That's basically the logic for it. Let me just start a bit. So because our time is already 10 minutes past, sorry.
So you would use a loop, right, to go through it?
Yeah, filter.
Okay.
Possibly you
Or
can
filter.
use filter. Filter is also looping through the array. Or you can use if as for loop if you want. That's also fine. Yeah. But it's a good point. So
But which one's more ideal to use?
filter.
Filter, okay.
Whenever we want to, filter through the items, actually, we use filter a lot. Like when you want to remove an item from this list, when you want to just check if they are matching. So the filter is the really good method, actually, you can use the filter, array.filter. But to get that array, you will basically need this. So the first of all, you need, where is our items now? Let's check. It's the city class, right? So you will collect all the city classes in an array. So this time, let's, you can't do it in the beginning, okay? You should do it after you click the submit button, because when you refresh the page, it's empty. So there is no item when the page starts. So it's not good to do it in here. It's good to do in somewhere here, maybe after the prevent default. I will basically show it, and you can also implement if you want. I will send the solution for this part as well, but let me start first, and then you can try. So right somewhere here, you can get const all cities, let's say, and then document dot query selector all, and this time we are looking for the city class. That's because of all of the items will be in the city class, this class. So then this will automatically brings you let's just console log all cities. Let's just save it, and let's check what it brings to us. Does it return an array or an object? Okay, so let's try once again. So there is nothing. Just go to console. Right now, after we enter the London, we should see you can see it returns an object, and this object has an array. Oh, wait. It returns a node list for us. Look at this. It's empty. It was empty. Now, if I try another city, now it will return me another node list, and you can see we have now Manchester inside this. So that returns you basically an array, I think. So let's just try this, the first index of this array, to see if that. So it will be undefined, but I think the next one will not be undefined. So it returns you Manchester. So that's basically how can you get this into an array. And then from this array, you can now, next time, you can check if the items you have added is in here. Remember, this is an array, and this array has a name right inside this class, and the name is London there. So you should reach out that London, bring it back to your JavaScript, and match the text you have entered here. If the text London matches with this London there, then shouldn't add this city there. It's quite difficult, but if you can get there, it's nice. If not, then I will post a solution for it very soon, okay? So, generally, do you have any question?
No.
So when we use filtered, basically the content is going to be empty, right? And then
if it is empty, then don't do that. Just check if if this is 0, because it will give undefined. Don't do that. Try with if. If you can get any array first, then check with the filter.
Okay, yeah.
First check if this array is not empty. Then check with the filter. Just array name like we have created. All cities dot filter, pass a function inside, and to get that name and match. If it is matching, so give the error. If it is not matching,
okay,
just process.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you should do here. Okay. All right then. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I really enjoyed while coding this, and also enjoy with your questions.
Will you be pushing this into the GitHub?
Yeah.
Solution? Okay.
I will pass with the solution again, with full solution. I mean, with even
Okay.
this part, but you can go and check the codes, but you will understand what I've done there. It's very simple. It's just a filter function, but you can try first, then check out my solution, or you can check the full solution. It's all up to you.
Yeah, and this is all in the GitHub, right?
On here, let me show you where I will post it back. It's on the GitHub there. Is the Clarusway full stack English. So then we will go to JavaScript and project solutions. I will post it here. 008 weather app. It will be here after the lesson. Or if you want, I can wait a little bit, or I can just push as soon as I just add this bit.
Either one's fine. I'm gonna work on it.
All right. Zamira, I have a question.
No, just
Okay.
thank you. My kids are like running and getting crazy, so I have to go.
All right then. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care
you
of
so
you
much.
and your family.
Thank you, Jamil.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.